Welcome to Who's Keeping Score, an Eric Productions original show presented by Grape Thunder Soda and Quickstar. We are your hosts. I am Eric Gertis, manager of Team Big Steve, and this is my good friend Dakota Coons, manager of Team Biddy. Who's Keeping Score is our new talk show where we will be recapping our fantasy football league's performances as well as the actual performance of NFL teams. The league we are a part of is called the Boys League, which consists of 10 teams divided into 2 divisions. This will be a 4-part series, so make sure you like, follow, or subscribe to Instagram and YouTube so you don't miss any future episodes. So, Dakota, why don't we jump right in and discuss our standings?
Yeah, sounds great to me.
All right, so currently Team Ricky is leading the Northern Division, and Team Birdie is the front runner of the Southern Division. And as we both know, Team Birdie, which is managed by our buddy Ben, is last year's fantasy champion. So I guess I'd just like to hear your thoughts on whether or not you think he could do it again this year.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a possibility he could repeat, but there's a couple key pieces on his team that I'm just not a huge fan of. Good old Michael Thomas as being his flex player. I don't think that's going to work out for him in the long run. He's pretty prone to injury, but he has a couple great pieces like Justin Herbert as his quarterback and Stephon Diggs as his wide receiver. So we'll see what happens.
Right, and Cowboys' defense isn't bad either.
No, they did good in week 1 against the Giants.
Right. He's got a pretty solid team, but I wouldn't say it's as good as last year's.
No, I would agree with that.
But your team isn't half bad this year. Team Biddy is currently second in the North Division and 5th overall with a 1-1 record. That's a lot better than my team, which is currently last in the league with an 0-2 record. How do you feel about your team this year?
You know, I felt really good in week 1. But then week 2 came, and all of a sudden my players weren't just playing up to their standards, you know. I have probably the top 2 running backs in the league with Christian McCaffrey and Tony Pollard.
Right.
But I'm getting devastated on some of my other wide receivers not playing, or my tight ends, or Darren Waller not, keeping pace with what he should be doing this year.
Right. So you clearly have some strengths and weaknesses. To counter these weaknesses, did you have any new pickups this week?
Yeah, I ended up picking up a new quarterback because my 2 quarterbacks of Justin Fields and Deshaun Watson were kind of both struggling a little bit. So I picked up Russell Wilson because he had a really good week 2 with like 26 points. But other than that, I did pick up one more wide receiver to possibly throw in my flex position because Josh Jacobs has been underperforming for me.
Right, and I know you've been eyeing Jordan Love as a potential quarterback.
Yeah, I have been. He's done great the last 2 weeks. 2 20-point games, I believe, is what they were.
Yep, he's overperformed both times. He's currently sitting on Team Big Steve's bench.
Yeah, I know. You got him. But, I'd take him. It just depends on the trade we can come to an agreement with.
All right, we'll see what happens. We're going to have to address this elephant in the room, though. Your opponent this week is Team Ricky, managed by our friend Joseph. Do you think you have a chance to win this week?
I have a slight chance. I'm not super happy about last night's games. My tight end underperformed again. Christian McCaffrey came in clutch, though, with 22 points. But his team is always pretty good all around. He never really has a hole in his game. So I think I'm going to quite struggle on Sunday when we get into most of our games.
Yeah, he's only really had a couple bad games,
in the whole time we've ever done it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of years ago, he kind of had a rough season, but he didn't lose.
Yeah.
But last year, he was always good. This year, so far, he seems to be on the right track.
All right. Your team has had a pretty rough start this season. You had the lowest scoring team last week and haven't broken 100 points in a game yet. How's your team looking this week?
Believe it or not, I think I have a pretty good chance of getting a W this week. The last couple weeks, I've had an underperforming running back and wide receiver core keeping me down. Mahomes, Kittle, and the 49ers defense wasn't even enough to compensate for that. I've had pretty much the worst luck possible with my wide receivers. I drafted Christian Watson, who has yet to play because of a hamstring injury, and Deontay Johnson, who is now on injury reserve and off my team. The rest of my wide receivers were pickups to replace them, and as you know, even my backups got hurt. And at one point, 5 out of 6 of my receivers were injured. I think I got pretty lucky picking up 3 players from the Rams last week, though. I now have a decent running back and wide receiver who both scored about 30 points each last week. I feel pretty confident about them, especially how do you say his name? Is it Nakua? Nakua. Yeah, he was pretty hot last week, and he's projected to be good this week. And I really hope Watson's cleared to play this week as well, because at the moment I've got 26 points from Thursday's 49ers game with the defense and George Kittle. I think Team Spooner's pretty beatable this week.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think he kind of struggles with his injuries too. But, I mean, you do have a great Nakua, my bad, has been averaging almost 26 points a game. I mean, he's almost unstoppable at this point. But you also have a Rams running back as your flex. That's interesting. You're kind of all betting in on the Rams here.
The Rams Monday, yeah.
Trusting them. But, I mean, you also have a great quarterback with Patrick Mahomes. He's always coming in clutch with over 22 points.
I can always depend on him. I'm not worried.
Yeah, he might have a tough matchup with Christian Watson, though, even if he does play. They'd play in New Orleans. That's usually a pretty good defense.
And like last week, I have a contingency plan if Watson or Nakua can't play. And I even have a worst-case scenario if they both can't play, because that's what we were looking at last week.
Oh, you already have backups made?
I have backups on my bench. I know where I'm going to put people.
Well, I mean, it's better to have it planned out now.
Yeah.
I mean, Preston does have a couple good pieces. I think he definitely struggles in the running back game a little bit.
Right, he already had the bench. Who did he bench? Because they're
Austin Eckler he benched.
Yes.
Because he's questionable, and he's probably not playing this weekend, which is good for you because he's been averaging 26.4 points a game. So, I mean, you definitely have an edge on him currently.
St. Brown of the Lions, he's a pretty good wide receiver. He's currently questionable as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but they play Atlanta?
Yes.
So, even if he does play, he might get low reps, but I could still see him scoring some big points.
Right. Yeah, I'm really just banking on Watson and Nakua. Currently, I got a 58% point advantage. I had a pretty good night last night.
Yep, 129.6 for you compared to Preston's projected 113.
Yep.
So, pretty likely you'll win.
I hope so. I really need a win. To recap, the top players of last week were Keenan Allen of Team Spooner with 31.1 points, Daniel Jones of Team I Know Sports Wellick with 30.7 points, and Rams wide receiver Pakanukua of Team Big Steve with 30.1 points. The top scoring team was Team Axman with 147.4 points, and the lowest scoring team was Team Big Steve with 83.6 points. And both of those teams faced each other last week, so the stats are pretty rough.
Yeah, I mean, Keenan Allen doesn't surprise me being on that list, but Daniel Jones really shocks me. I did not expect him to be anywhere close to 30.
And Nakua as well. I've never heard of him before last week.
He's kind of having a breakout season this year.
Is he a rookie, or is this like his
This might be his second
year? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe in a future episode we can get some of the other boys to comment on their season. But before we move on to our projections for Week 3, I'll just list the current standings. In order from first to last, the standings are Team Birdie, Team Ricky, Team Axman, Team Spooner, Team Biddy, Team I Know Sports Wellick, Team Burke, Team Dr. Man, Team Special Kids, and last but not least, Team Big Steve.
Yeah, you're pulling up the rear end there. But, I mean, like you said, we've had some bad injuries. But I'm kind of proud of Team Dr. Man. He hasn't been on his phone in a month.
I know he just got access to his team, I think, a couple of days ago. That first week was rough for him. He only racked up 70-something points, but it's not his fault. He's in the Army, so he's not allowed to be on his phone.
Yep, but he looks like he's having a comeback.
He's coming back. He's better than me.
Yep, that's true.
I'm just hoping I don't have a Preston Spooner season like last year. I don't want to go 3-11. So now that we've recapped the season so far, who do you think will win this week's matchups? We already know how we feel about our matchups, but how about other teams?
Team Birdie goes against Special Kids here, and he doesn't have much of a favorite. It's a high-scoring game. It's projected to be 137.2 for Ben and 131.8 for Special Kids. I still think Ben will end up pulling out that win. I think he just has a better team overall.
Oh, yeah, beyond a doubt. I don't even think this matchup seems fair. You got Ben, who's first in the South, 2-0 record. Special Kids is currently 5th in the North, 0-2. He's the second worst in the league.
Yep, I beat him first. I beat Special Kids first week.
Right.
So,
but if we look, though, at the projections, I believe last I checked, actually not anymore, but for a little bit, Keene's team was given the slight edge. He was projected to beat Ben by 3 points with the help of Jalen Hurts and Devontae Adams, who are great players.
Yep. But if we go to look at Team Axman versus I Know Sports Wellick, that's probably our closest matchup of the week.
Oh, yeah, they're basically projected to tie.
Yep, 126.5 for Team Axman and 126.7 for Team Wellick. Obviously, that comes with no players already playing on Thursday, so that could obviously change very quickly. But
yeah, they're virtually projected to tie.
And I think we have our lowest scoring matchup with Team Burke and Dr. Man.
Team Burke managed by Andrew Burke and Dr. Man managed by Colby Rutherford, our Army friend. In my opinion, this matchup is also like the first one, no contest. I've got my money on Team Dr. Man.
Yep.
So does Fantasy with its 58% win projection. Is that different now?
Yep, it's 51% now.
50. Oh.
It went from 119.2 for Dr. Man to 115.2 for Team Burke.
So maybe Burke does have a chance.
The only thing that worries me about Dr. Man's team here is he has some questionable players. He has Isaac Pacheco, there you go.
Okay.
Who's questionable, and Jalen Waddle, who's a massive point scorer.
I see that. Yes, he averages 12 points this year, but take a look. Yeah, he's very consistent, 12 points each game. So he's very dependable, but questionable, obviously. Pacheco?
Yep, Pacheco.
Yes, he's also very consistent.
I just noticed Colby with Dr. Man here has Cooper Kupp on his bench in IR. I did not realize he was hurt.
Yep.
That hurts him.
I remember that. And he also has who is this guy? He's got a wide receiver who's out.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure if he was a starter or not.
Yeah, he was for the San Francisco.
Okay.
Yep, he was actually big in the first couple weeks. 20 points per average, 20 points. So he has a couple hurt people, but I still think he can pull off this win here.
Right, I think we're pretty much in agreement over these matchups. I guess we'll wrap up this first episode with some discussion over some recent real-life NFL news. We have to talk about Rodgers.
Shocking Week 1 injury.
I know. No one expected him to be out of commission after the first game, or should I say first snap.
Yep.
Technically the second.
I believe it was the second. But he's getting paid for a bad injury he has here. But, I mean, I can't really. Yeah. I mean, he is up there in age. He's, 42?
He's in his 40s. Do you think he'll right now it sounds like he's going to come back when he recovers, but do you think he'll actually come back?
I think he'll come back for one make or break it season, and then he'll retire like after that.
Tom Brady, he was with the Buccaneers for 2 seasons, I believe. One Super Bowl, then after that
he was done. Yep, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. And I think a lot of people are going to give him crap when he does come back next year.
Oh yeah. Beyond. That's not in question. Mm-mm. So this weekend we have some good matchups. You got Chiefs versus Bears, Packers versus Saints, to name a few. What else is there this weekend?
I believe we got Philly at the Bucks.
Okay.
So I believe that's a Philly win.
Oh, yeah. I hope so.
If Jalen Hurts can actually start playing decent. We have George Pickens with the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Raiders. I think that'll probably be one of the closer games this week, honestly. I think they're both pretty evenly matched. But
I'd agree.
Brought up the Chiefs versus Bears. I think Chiefs have it on lock.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think Justin Fields, for the quarterback of the Bears, has been playing up to his last year standards.
No. I have a Bears running back, I believe, or at least I did. I don't know if I do. But, yeah, they're overall not performing as well as they were projected to.
Yep. I have Justin Fields, the quarterback for the Bears, on my roster.
Right.
And I'm starting him this weekend here.
He'll get you points.
I think he'll do better because I don't think Kansas City has that good of a defense.
No, Kansas City's defense is on my bench. They're my backup for 49ers, who I believe have a much superior defense.
Yeah. What do you think about that Packers versus Saints game?
Well, I haven't taken a look at the Saints stats or anything. How are they doing this year?
I think they're doing pretty good if I can find them real quick here. I don't remember who has them on their team.
Packers are 1-1.
I couldn't even tell you. I haven't heard any news on the Saints at all this year.
Me neither.
It's been pretty rough for them. But understandably so. See if I can find them here. Saints, they're number 6 out of defenses.
Wow.
So they have a great defense.
Strong defense.
So we'll see if their young rookie Jordan Love can keep up with their astounding defense.
Do you know who's projected to win this game?
I have no clue.
Close.
I bet it has to be close.
It's got to be close, but I'm rooting for the Packers all the way.
I'm hoping the young kid can get it done here, but
As long as the Packers and Chiefs win this weekend, I'm happy.
yeah, I think I would agree with that. I think those are the top 2 teams for me currently. Just to kind of like to see the young Packers thrive and see if the Chiefs can make another Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
All right. Let's wrap this week's episode of Who's Keeping Score. Thank you to everyone for tuning in.
Make sure you follow the Instagram and subscribe to YouTube. Once again, we are sponsored by Grape Thunder Soda. No force is stronger than Grape Thunder. And by Quickstar. That's all we have for today. Thank you for tuning in to Who's Keeping Score. We'll be back with new scores and standings next week.